Hey guys, welcome back to the WODdoc Project 365, episode 867. Today what we're doing is featuring Dr. Sean Pastuch. He's the owner and founder of Active Life RX. I'm sure you guys have seen this company pop up in our social circles and our communities of functional fitness because they're doing a really great job in online service. They do everything from working to get athletes out of pain to helping them improve performance. And I think this is a really great parallel to the service that I provide with WODhabilitation. So I thought you guys would really enjoy our hour of interaction. Okay, everybody. So today we have joining us today is Dr. Sean from Life from Active Life RX. I almost made a mistake today. From Active Life RX. Funny background story before he gets into telling you more about him. Sean and I actually went to school together, so I can testify he is an educated person. Although I wish I was more educated. I think I skipped through some of that education process. I learned a lot after I got out, though. So, Dr. Sean, please introduce yourself and tell the audience, for those of you who don't know and will not take me as a validation, what it is that you do and what goes on at your clinic.
Well, thanks, Tim. First of all, I think you are misremembering who I was in school. I partnered with Jeremy Todd, now Dr. Jeremy, because he was a more credible person as far as the grades in school went. So you and I were more the same kind of student in chiropractic school where I had the tires that I went and got from that scrapyard, got some kettlebells and set up basically our first CrossFit gym in the backyard on the lawn. I think you came worked out at it. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I was over there once or twice. I was definitely in the wakeboarding a lot in school. I loved the lake.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we lived on the lake, but the closest thing I did to really being on the lake is I took a kayak out a few times, and otherwise it was fishing. And once I caught a fish, once I caught the dock, and I realized I'm a city guy, not a lake guy. Although I like it. It's nice. But yeah, so I went to chiropractic school with you, obviously, full trimester ahead. We were the intramural softball champions, came in, knocked off the class above us, pumped our chest, and you guys came in and knocked us off. And that's about where my athletic career ended. Now I play father-son softball.
There you go.
And treat patients. Yeah.
Hey, that is definitely an activity in itself, and probably takes more endurance than any softball game we've ever played.
Likely, that's true. That's true. But yeah, so now we own the Active Life in Long Island, New York. Used to be in Long Beach. Now we're up in Island Park, and we treat athletes of all sorts. Mostly CrossFit athletes seem to be our sweet spot, probably because we're attached to the CrossFit gym that I own. Active Life Athletics, CrossFit Island Park. But we have athletes who drive in from hours away, fly in from across the country. James Newberry's flying in from Australia via Toronto next week. So we're fortunate to get to work with
I saw you have that Olympic lifter coming in too. What's his name? That guy that's so damn quick. I just call him Lightning. What's his real name?
Luis Mosquera.
Mosquera. You even say it with more like, with that romantic voice of yours.
That's only because I have to talk to people who say it like that, so it becomes the way I say it.
Yeah, dude, that guy is the quickest son of a bitch I've ever seen.
He's 151 pounds. He clean and jerks. I want to say about 420, and he snatches like 340.
That's gross, right?
Yeah, I mean, listen, he's allegedly going to be here in January, all depending on visa stuff. When he comes, you should come out.
Yeah, definitely. Even if I could just come out just to watch him. But anyway, back to what we were talking about. How did you? I guess, real quick, what is life? What is the Active Life RX do?
So we started as a standard chiropractic office, like anybody else. Except that we focus on soft tissue techniques.
Because your office is connected to your CrossFit gym. Yeah.
Yep. So I have a CrossFit gym attached to the office. I used to be much more active in the CrossFit gym. I used to coach a lot of classes, and I used to manage the day-to-day. Now I've delegated both of those tasks so I can focus more on the office, and I kind of oversee stuff in the gym. I work on the gym instead of in the gym. I work in the office and on the office.
Yeah.
Full time. So we have patients Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday who come in to see us live. And then we also work with patients remotely, patients, clients, whatever you want to call them. Everyone from, I'm in pain and I want to get out of it, to last year I took 15th at the CrossFit Games. This year I want to win. And I don't have any pain. So a good example of that is like a Jacob Hepner, has no pain, has no problems, just doesn't like that his knees get glued together when he squats heavy, so came to us to change that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what we do. We write programming for remote clients that supplements what their coach gives them to make them better athletes and to get rid of pain if necessary. And with live clients, we do soft tissue work. ART and integrative diagnosis is how we do that. And then we provide exercise as well.
Yeah, that's great. And I love that too, because that's something that definitely parallels with some of the stuff that I do with WODdoc. It's more of a remote programming for injury specific things, knees, hips, backs, all that type of stuff. But I'm not into a whole bunch of programming, but the reason why your stuff intrigues me and this is stuff that I love about it, and one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you in the first place is that relationship, that online relationship. A lot of people, I don't know if they're wary about it, they don't trust it, or whatnot. Like, so I guess, how is it that you establish a good relationship with people that you've never physically met before? Because you guys obviously do a great job. You have some great athletes under you, so you're the people to talk to. You're the resource to talk to about that, something like that.
Over deliver. So we over deliver. That's our biggest thing. Is our goal is to always deliver more than what the person expects, and we give more than we ask for. Right. So the people who work with us, we don't send anybody a text message, "Hey, do me a favor, post this." Right. The people who we work with one-on-one, when they're posting, it's because they want to post. It's because they're finding value in what we're doing. They think they need to share it with people. We just continue to provide value to them over and over and over again. And then they feel inclined to support us back. So the relationship starts with basically just saying, listen, I'm here to help you. When you feel like it's appropriate, feel free to help me back.
Mm-hmm. I guess I could start out with my first question then.
Okay.
Actually, that's not it. I don't want to ask a question yet.
Okay.
After you establish those relationships, how long do people stay with you for, on average? Like, how does that work?
That depends. That depends on what they came in for. So we have two different types of programming that we offer. The first kind is our one-on-one, and that's where they would come in. They basically get a 10-day assessment that we put them through. We ask them to fill out a pretty thorough questionnaire and to send us some qualitative video of movement speeds that we want to see so that we can provide them modifications that make sense to their program. If that ends up being one-on-one programming where we write 1 week at a time with a skeleton and a plan, and we explain to them what their goals are and what their report of findings is before we even start. Those people, if they come in pain and they want to get out of pain, the majority of them will stick on for anywhere from 3 to 6 months, because typically they're purchasing 6 months at a time, or they were. We changed the way that works, but so people would stay on for 6 months to a year. The first 2 to 3 months getting them out of pain, the next 2 to 3 months making them an animal.
Yeah.
Some people.
See, I think that's such an important thing, because what some people might hear right now, you said the first 2 to 3 months getting them out of pain, the next 2 to 3 months making them an animal. Like, when people hear a 6-month term, some people hear like, oh my God, this is going to take so long. And that gets me into this concept of like, listen, like, your body only changes so fast. Like, everything is an adaptation. Everything is an adaptation to a stimulus. It doesn't matter what it is, right? If you cut your arm open, that healing process is an adaptation to the stimulus that it just got. If you are squatting 1,000 pounds or attempting to squat 1,000 pounds, that adaptation process happens over a current amount of time to allow you to squat that much. And we live in this instant gratification society, where everyone wants everything today. So I think it's so important that you have long treatment plans like that and explain that in the beginning, because that concept is lost. And sometimes that's a concept that pushes people out of my office. Like, somebody will come in with, I don't know, with the typical shoulder injury. All right, well, hey, listen, I got you. This isn't anything that bad. We don't have any tearing of tissue. We have some type of impingement syndrome. Okay? Well, it's going to take you, 2 to 3 weeks to get rid of that pain, because you don't want to stop going up overhead or something like that. But to solidify any type of changes, it might take a couple months. Mm-hmm. Oh, so I have to come here for a couple months? That's what I get. And sometimes people don't want to make that commitment, and if they don't, then,
Well, and on top of that, it's and then, by the way, you're probably going to go back and do exactly what you did to get yourself here in the first place. Yeah. So So the value that you can serve them, the value that we serve our clientele, is we're going to continue to provide you with advice and consult to basically say this is how you need to modify. And it doesn't mean that you're a scaled athlete. It means you don't need to do pull-ups 5 times a week, right? It means you're already good enough at pull-ups. So I want you to do pull-ups twice a week, and I want you to turn that around and do some behind the neck pressing, so you can get into external rotation instead of internal rotation, and upwardly rotate your shoulder blade instead of downwardly rotating your shoulder blade.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the value too. But we try to work with our athletes and explain to them that we are not a service that gets you out of pain. We are a service that puts you in a position so that your coach can make you everything that you have the potential to be.
Yeah. I think that's a great segue to the next thing that I want to talk about, and one of the bigger topics that might get us into trouble, but I love to throw it out there anyway.
I love trouble. That's okay. I'm good with trouble.
What do you think the missing link is? And I like to say functional fitness here because I don't like to use that CF word because
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, we don't talk CF, but we talk functional fitness. So what do you think that like out of all the people that you see walk into the office and all the things that happen and all the interactions that you have, what's the missing link? Because I'm going to listen to what you have to say and then kind of throw my 2 cents in there as well.
Common sense and perspective. So what I mean by that is, you walk into a gym most of the time, right? And if the person who greets you said to you, "What are your goals? Why are you here?" Most people are going to say, "I'm here because I want to look good naked and I'd like to be able to have sex when I'm 80." Right? Yeah. They might leave out the 80 part. That that's a personal thing.
85,
85, exactly. But the idea is that person didn't walk in the gym saying, I want to be able to bang out 15 unbroken muscle ups, snatch 200 pounds, and clean and jerk 300, right? They didn't walk in with competitive goals. They walked in with look good naked and feel good goals. I want to be able to play with my kids, chase my kids around, and pick them up without thinking about it. I want to be able to do work around the house without shoulder pain, low back pain, and without breaking down. I don't want to have low back pain when I stand up off the couch. But then the coach starts writing a linear program and expects an athlete to just walk in and be able to do everything. And then the athlete has to say, okay, well, XYZ guy over there is able to do 10 muscle ups. I can only do 1 and I don't do it consistently. So I just have to do more muscle ups, like more. And it's, no, you didn't walk in the gym to be the best guy in the gym at muscle ups.
Right.
Do you like the way you look? Outstanding.
Well, I think that's interesting, but when I always ask this question, I'll throw it out at you. I hope I didn't ask this because no one ever gets it right. What's the difference between CrossFit and every other sport? Like, what is the one distinguishing difference?
Because CrossFit is a training methodology for other sports.
Sure it is, but what's the difference in the clientele?
Perspective. It goes back to that, right? You wake up in the morning, you look in the mirror. Sure. I'm not a 6'8" guy who can dunk a ball. I'm not playing in the NBA. But I look at CrossFit and I see Josh Bridges is 5'8". I hope I got that right, or gave him an inch or two on the right side.
Yeah, I think you probably gave him an inch or two.
Good, 185 pounds. I'm like, I could be that.
Yeah.
No, I can't.
What I was getting at though is the biggest thing that I see that's different, that's totally different from all other sports, with the exception of like what's going on like very recently, the last 2 years or so. Most CrossFit athletes start as adults. There's no other sport out there that starts as adults. Every other sport that I've ever played in my life, I played as a child, right? I just so happened to get into CrossFit. I got into CrossFit I was over 25 or something like that, right? And that's where many other people are that are exactly like me, even the competitive ones out there. So they're starting this as an adult, and they don't have any of those foundational skills. And that's what I think the biggest missing link is elimination of skill. These people don't have foundational ability. Period. Right? So they come in with athletic ability, with skill. They come in with this, and I've said this 1,000 times. They come in with a straw foundation and a stone house. So they like people that are able to do a kipping pull-up shouldn't necessarily be doing it. People that are able to do a muscle-up shouldn't necessarily do it. If they can't identify and be able to readily do these foundational tasks, right? So like, for instance, the perfect one is like somebody that could somehow jerk like twice their body weight, but they can't strict press 10 pounds. Like, so somehow they have these magical hips that could thrust the weight upwards and they could get under it. And as soon as they lock out, they're able to somehow stabilize that weight. Athletic ability, talent, skill, all that, right? But
Yeah.
they have zero foundational strength. So when they get into, like, something goes wrong, something isn't perfect, fatigue sets in, all this other type of stuff, all hell breaks loose, the wheels fall off the bus. And I think that functional fitness institutions forget all about foundational attributes. It's just
I
like,
think
because they're not cool. Like, who the hell wants to do a fucking, a squat or a strict press when you could do muscle ups and handstand push ups? Because that's what I saw, Jackie Perez doing upside down on the last Instagram post. Like, and like,
sure.
those are they're not like, they're not cool. And
we see some of the most influential people in programming start putting out content that goes in the way that you just said, your gym owners go, and that's problematic. The idea of just do more and you'll get it. You'll get good at it. Just do more of it. And that's just not true. You'll get better at it at the sacrifice of your joints.
Yeah.
But the other thing too, I think that that because you mentioned earlier, we live in the instant gratification world, right? Is we ask athletes, all that we do, everything we do with them is strict. There's very rarely a ballistic movement that we're having them do, or dynamic, something where they're using their hips and transferring force to their shoulders. Rare. And when we do, it's low skill, a muscle snatch or a muscle clean. And it's that step backwards.
Yeah.
And that's all that we're doing with them. And that's what's making these guys a different kind of athlete. But I think that a mistake people can make is by saying they don't have the foundational strength, because there's some guys in here who are animals, right? Like you look at Jared Stevens, for example, right? He's a monster, and he played collegiate football. He played professional football over in Europe. And he's bench pressed his entire life, right? He's squatted and deadlifted his whole life. He hasn't snatched his whole life. He hasn't cleaned his whole life. So it's the opportunity for a coach to teach him what's necessary to do that, and have prerequisites to doing the full movement that I think becomes important that people are missing.
Yeah, but being strong and being foundationally strong are two different things, right?
Agreed.
So he's really strong at bench press because he bench pressed for however long. So in that particular vector, he might be a fucking animal. That is absolutely true. But you put his arms at a 45-degree angle somewhere towards his eye level, and a 10-year-old child might be able to lift more than him. I don't know.
No, and he doesn't mind me discussing it. We've talked about it, but that's what we found. Exactly what you just said, right? So when we first started working with him, he had 2 torn labrums, one on each shoulder.
Right.
He had torn rotator cuffs on both sides. He couldn't wash his hair without pain. And if you've seen him, he's got a lot of hair. Yeah. Right. So he could power snatch 285 at the time. So we're like, okay, well, let me see what you can high pull. Right? How much can you pull a weight up like this with? Just basically what the third pull would be if it was you pulling the weight instead of you using the weight to pull your body down. Couldn't pull a 45-pound kettlebell to his shoulder. Yeah. Right. And I'm like, so this guy can snatch 285 using his hips and receiving the bar, but he can't high pull 45 pounds with one arm.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yes.
So you're 100% right.
Exactly what you're saying, though, is that what we think as being strong because somebody can bench press or squat is really skill specific to a certain extent, right? I mean, like a bench press is a skill, but we take a bench press as being strong. If I walked up to you on the street or another person and said, "Hey, listen, man, I bench press 400 pounds," you would automatically just think I'm strong, not understanding that bench press is still a skill. It's still a single vector movement. So yes, you are strong, but built upon that strength is a skill that allows you to push a weight in one direction.
You're not strong. You're strong at lying on your back and horizontally pressing 400 pounds.
Correct.
That's it.
Yeah,
which is impressive.
Do you know who I think are freaking animals? Like those. I want to someday. I'm going to climb Everest. You wait and see. I just need 45 grand, and hopefully I won't die. But like the Shermas, right? I say that right?
Yeah.
Sherpas, right? Like those guys. If you ever see pictures of those people, they carry like 100-kilo sacks that stand on top of their head, up like 45-degree inclines all day, 5 hours a day, 10 hours a day, like all different like rocky surfaces, unstable, like those motherfuckers, those guys. That's this functional strength. Like you could put them in any direction and they would probably be just as strong. They're unbelievably and you know how much they weigh? Like 150 pounds, and they're like 5'3",
Yeah.
So So imagine taking your body weight or over your body weight and carrying it for 5 hours up a hill.
No. Just no. And that's not a hill. Mount Everest is not a hill.
Yeah, Mount Everest is not. No, it's not. But yeah. So I think the realization of what you guys do, and making people understand about foundational strength, or about foundational attributes, foundational ability, however you want to like make that word not. I want it to be as generalized as possible. I hate to use the word strength because everybody's like, oh, you have to be strong. You know, like, but that's not necessarily what I meant by it. What I meant is,
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
The ability to do everything that it takes to do something complex in its
Correct.
parts.
So yeah,
I mean,
non-skill oriented.
Yeah.
Yes.
We have our pyramid, right? Like, that CrossFit has their pyramid that starts with diet, right? Or it starts with conditioning, and at the top is sport. We have ours. At the base of it is flexibility, then it goes to mobility, right? If you don't have the flexibility to do something, you shouldn't, we're not going to throw a ball under a guy's ass who has a torn hip labrum and can't squat to 90 degrees and tell him you're not getting low enough. He doesn't have the range of motion, right? Passively, he wouldn't have it. So we're not going to load him and see if he can do it. So if you don't have the flexibility, then we don't pass go. But if you have the flexibility, do you have the mobility? Can you do it actively? Great. If you have that and you have flexibility, now we're looking at your strength and your strength balance, right? How well do you do opposing things, right? So you can squat 400 pounds, great, but can you deadlift 500? Because if you're squatting 400 and deadlifting 400, you have a problem.
Yeah, I know our buddy Corey's huge on that stuff. Yeah.
Well, Corey's the one who taught it to us.
Yeah.
And Corey, I'm not sure where he got all of his data from, but it's been.
I know he's a big Shirley Sauerman person.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where he got to start with the idea that the neurological adaptation has a huge play. Yeah. Whatever it is, he's been extremely beneficial to us.
Yeah, Corey's awesome. I'm a big fan of him. I tried to go to his last seminar, but he has them so sporadically. I couldn't make it down there last time. I called and I wanted to set up for it. I'm gonna make it to his seminar because I don't think he realizes how much I appreciate the stuff that he puts out.
Well, just go ask me if you can just go down there and shadow him for some time. I'm sure he'd be down for it.
Yeah, I definitely will. Because he's down in Asheville, right?
Yes, Corey Duval, Stay Active Clinic.
Yeah, Stay Active, Active Live.
That has nothing to do with it.
Guys are like little dating on the side.
Yeah.
So this is another controversial topic that I'd love to talk about. It's and I think it has a direct correlation to both things that we do because you were just talking about program design, all that type of stuff. I think how do I say this nicely? There's not a nice way to say it. There are so many people that are over-programmed. It makes me fucking crazy.
What do you mean by that?
Like, everybody in the gym, like what CrossFit started out to be and what I initially loved it as, it was a sport that allowed me to collaborate with my friends and do a bunch of activities. We'd all sweat and have fun and whatever, go out for beers afterwards, whatever it might have been. But there was good people and there was bad people and there was in-between people, but everyone was able to work together, right? Mm-hmm. And now what I see is like everyone that is like you're either like what do they call them? They call what's the derogatory term that they use in the gym? Squids. Like you're either like a squid, right? like you're I say that because that's the pessimistic view that people give them.
You're off in the corner doing your own thing.
You're either what I mean by that is you're either like a super beginner and you're in foundational class, right?
Okay.
Or you're doing Invictus or Misfit or like it's just like there's no in between anymore and there's no like and I see all these people and I'm not shitting on any of them because I love guys at Misfit. I love Invictus. I love all those type of programs. But I think that like what in the hell are half these people like? What is your goal and why are you doing that? Is what I get lost at because what happens is now you walk into the fucking gym. And everybody it's not even like a CrossFit gym anymore. It's not even like that active community we used to have anymore. It's like there's a foundational class going on at 7 a.m. and then it's open gym for the rest of the day, and everybody's off doing their own little stuff. And if I come in and I'm doing Invictus, I can't talk to you because you're doing Misfit, and I can't stray from my programming, like, because God forbid if I didn't hit my all, it says I have to hit 80% here for 2 reps here, and then I have to go. I have a 5-minute rest, and I can't talk of this and that, and I like, and then I'm like, okay, cool, like, so how'd you do in regionals last year? I didn't. How'd you do in the Open? Top 1,000. All right, congratulations. Maybe you should just go to fucking do regular programming, like like for a couple more years, you know. And when you get to that point where you're ready to, you know, I'm like, I don't know. It drives me crazy. It drives me crazy. I'm gonna get a lot of hate mail for that one.
No, it's fine. I think that there's a few components to that. I think the first component to that is the rush of gyms opening, right? So if you go gym to gym to gym across the country, there's a lot of great coaches out there. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, I think for every great coach out there, there's also someone who doesn't have any business coaching.
Sounds like our chiropractic field.
Yeah. It's any field, right? And why should CrossFit be any different, or personal training be any different? There's great coaches and there's bad coaches, and I think that what happens is people, when they lose faith in the program that's being put forth in their gym, they stop following that gym. Yeah. And then on top of that, if their goals don't line up with the goals of the gym, they're in the wrong place. And I think that happens just as commonly. So the athlete walks in to get in shape and decides, this is the great gym for me. You know what? Now I want to get competitive because I'm pretty good at this. But the gym doesn't have any eye on competition, and that's not bad.
No.
Right? That's great for the gym. Now that person doesn't fit in the dynamic in the gym because the gym isn't looking to train for sport. They're training for fitness, for life, and for community. So
but see, I think you're right only halfway though. Because how many people do you know do a Russian front squat cycle because that's the one that they looked up and it looks cool? How many people do you know do Invictus because they see the guy wearing an Invictus shirt, or a Misfit because they see a guy doing a Invictus shirt, or NorCal because they see these because they think they're cool and they're the in thing to do, not necessarily because they want to be competitive. How many people? Oh, here's a better question. How many people do you know? Because I could tell you at least. You guys know that I go to GSP, right? So I go to GSP and I'm there frequently. Practically the entire community there, like that isn't like in class does Misfit. Like they're a very big Misfit area, right?
I think that's said.
I could tell you about 4 of those people, including myself, that actually compete. And I'm not even saying like compete as in like, I mean like go to like local competitions. Like
WODdoc Nation you were at this
time. Yeah. By the way, there's a lot of good people. Oh, you guys team beat us by they got 4th, right?
Yes.
Those bastards. We got 5th, yeah. It's all right. I haven't competed in 2 years, so I was coming on my
nice work.
Yeah. I got recruited last minute, so we made it happen. But anyway, like, so half those guys they do Misfit like for years now, never competed at all. So I asked them, I'm like, why are you doing competitive programming if you're not competing or whatever? Like if the goal in the intention of this particular programming is to become a regional athlete and beyond, and your goal is to hang out with the rest of the people that are doing Misfit, do you think that is a reason why you are hurt all the time?
In part, for some people, I think that also comes down to ownership and management at the gym, right? I mean, I advocate people allowing athletes to do what they want to do in the gym during open gym hours, right? Because if their goals don't align with your gym's goals, you still want to help that person get where they want to go.
Yeah.
But nothing supersedes your class, right? I mean, we don't have people doing. I work with brute strength every day, right? I'm on their team as far as their coaching team goes. Nobody in my gym does brute strength programming during our class, right? Nobody in their gym is doing Misfit programming during our class. Nobody's doing Invictus during class. I bet if you went to CrossFit New England and watched people work out, nobody's doing, brute strength programming during CrossFit New England's class. If you go to Invictus, nobody's doing, comp train during his class. these are my guesses. I haven't been to all these gyms and seen all these things. But what it comes down to is I think the gym owners need to be more comfortable telling people, if that's what you want to do and this is the only time that you can do it, this is the wrong gym for you, because that's going to take away from our culture.
Yeah.
We're here for a culture, and we're going to get you fit. If you don't have the confidence in us to do that, then I don't feel right taking your money unless you can only come during open gym time. And I'm comfortable telling people that all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great answer. Because I think that a lot of people stray away from that because they're taking money out of their pocket, and there's a
but that's only in the short term. That's a short-term way to look at it, right? You're taking money out of your pocket, but then when you end up having a class of 15 people and 8 of them are doing individualized programming on the other side of the room, 7 are following yours, those 7 people are wondering what they're missing.
Right.
Right? Why are those better athletes than me in a lot of cases not doing what I'm doing? Do I need to do something different to be a better athlete? Is my coach missing the boat?
Yeah, I think that's a huge point, because even as you say it to me, it's exactly what those people think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the people doing it don't mean to do that to the people in class, but what happens at the end of the day is people in class are questioning, am I doing enough if I want to get fit? They ask those people why you do this. Oh, dude, I'm PRing all over the place. My row times are going down. It's sick. And the person doesn't necessarily even associate with those things, but it's like, I guess I should do that. And that sucks for the gym.
There's I won't say any names because I don't want to like shit on anybody. There's a particular person that's a head coach near us that doesn't. I never see that particular person work out at their gym. They work out at a different gym, and I find that like I wasn't even the person that necessarily brought it up. It was brought to my attention by somebody else, just because we all have mutual friends in this world, And I was like, I don't know what they're doing, like but I found it like, how do you have a head coach that doesn't do the majority of their workouts at their gym? Like, so
and
imagine
not just the workouts.
Yeah.
The programming.
Yeah.
You should be in class.
Yeah.
Right? I find that there's a big difference between being a great athlete and being a great coach. And it's very difficult to focus and get great at both. So I think to be a great athlete, it's a noble pursuit, but you have to be a little bit selfish, right? Because you have to be able to time things right. You have to be able to maximize the time that you spend in the gym. Your diet has to be on point. Your sleep has to be right. You can't take the call from the member who's upset that their boyfriend dumped them and their workouts are suffering at 8:30 at night because you're sleeping.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or 9:30 at night. It's just a different focus. You have to wake up in the morning every day, in my opinion, as a coach and say, what can I do for my members today?
Yeah.
And then see how you fit yourself in.
Yeah. I think that's great. And I think that, is that included into your guys' seminar? Do you guys talk about that? Like coaching strategies and business run strategies as well?
Not so much. Not yet. Right now, what we're trying to do is our coaches workshop.
Yeah.
The online coaches workshop that we have is basically teaching coaches how to look at movement instead of exercise selection. Yeah. Right. So I'll get into that a little bit in a second, but it's that, and then it's basically how to communicate to somebody that we're going to modify this for you without making that person feel like, hey, you suck, so do this instead. But we don't really talk about the business end that much because I just think that there's other people who are doing a really good job with the business stuff. I don't need to jump into that world.
Yeah, I got you. But you make some great points no matter what. So even if you didn't, you accidentally just dipped into it just a little bit.
Boom.
Winning. All right, what else do we have?
For us, we want coaches looking at movement instead of exercise. That's the biggest thing for us.
So when you say looking at movement versus exercise, what's your approach to that?
So we look at it from a joint action, right? You understand joint actions.
Sure.
And I think that
dumb it down to the layperson's idea.
What was that?
Dumb it down to the doctorial viewpoint.
So the way that we look at it is there are 5 different things that you can do in a CrossFit gym or in any gym, right? They're related to strength building. There's squatting, hinging, pushing, pulling, and carrying.
Are you are you a Dan John junkie? Because that's like straight from...
That's straight from Dan John.
Yeah.
And then you add to that things like ground to shoulder, ground to overhead, right? Yeah. But those start as a hinge.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the next thing that we look at is, okay, what direction are we moving in when we do these things? Are we doing it unilaterally or bilaterally? Is it in the frontal plane, the sagittal plane, or the transverse plane? Right? Because if you're not looking at those things, and oftentimes coaches don't, what you end up having is Monday is a gym we squat, right? We're gonna do back squats and cleans. So everyone understands that's a squat and a squat, right?
Yeah.
Tuesday, we're gonna but it's also a hinge because you're cleaning. Tuesday is gonna be kettlebell swings and rowing. So it's hinge and hinge. Wednesday is going to be, lunges and thrusters. So it's a squat again and a squat again. Thursday is going to be running and toes to bar. So hinge and hinge, right? And then on Friday, we're going to snatch. So you hinge again. So the thing, to someone who's a layman or to a new coach, you look at that and it's a great program. 5 days, I did 5 totally different workouts. Didn't use the same movement twice. Everything was awesome. But when I look at it, it's, you hinged and squatted every day.
Yeah.
Right? So your athletes have low back pain.
Yeah.
I don't have to ask. That's what's going on.
Right.
So we look at it differently.
Cool. And that, you guys have workshops on that, right?
Yes.
How are they 2 day, 1 day?
The live workshops. We haven't really scheduled any live workshops for next year right now. Gotcha. Because what we're doing is we've had a lot of people when we go to the workshops. The most common question is, I came here because I want to find out what bulletproof program I should be on. Right? Like I see you guys on social media. I want to do one of your programs, your accessory programs. How do I know which one to get on? So what we're actually doing is now we're building out a ground team. We're training a bunch of doctors to go across the country and give a 1 day seminar. It's about 5 hours long. That's a little bit of theory, a lot of assessment, and then actionable things to do thereafter. But our online coaches program is rolling in mission.
Yeah, I got you. Online coaches program too. All right, I will make sure that I get the info up on that just so it's there for people that are watching and listening and stuff like that too.
Sure.
Let's switch gears just a little bit. We're a little bit pessimistic, and I don't like to end with pessimism. We're saying like, oh, this programming stinks. People shouldn't do that. Those are all negative type concepts. But there are gyms out there that do an awesome job, and there are all coaches out there that do an awesome job. Like we said, there's good and bad apples in every tree. But there's still problems that become difficult for gym owners and coaches. The main thing that I find that will be incredibly difficult and would love to get your input on is you can have the best coach with the best programming, even looking at the movement standard, even looking at exercises as movements, not as exercises, like you said, assuming everything is perfect, all right? The biggest hurdle I think that a coaching staff may have is the consistency of the people that come in. Because when you write a program, you don't write a program necessarily for somebody that comes in twice a week. You write a program because your doors are open 6 days a week. So that continuum of that program has to be based off of 6 days. How do you change that, or how do you minimize the negative effects to the people that only come in Tuesdays and Thursdays, or the people that come in for 5 days a week and then are gone for 2 weeks, stuff like that? So to minimize their risk of injury and to maximize still their potential, sports development, whatever they want, overall human proficiency in programming.
So to me, that's a 3-step process, right? You educate the coaches so that they can educate the athlete, and then the coaches follow up with the athlete, right? So what I mean by that is basically, let's just pretend that your gym has a linear program. We'll make that assumption, right? So what I mean by linear program is we're going to start by testing, and then we're going to work on percentages for 6 to 8 weeks in our strength cycle or even in our conditioning cycle, right? And then at the end, we're going to retest. If we just go on that assumption. Mm-hmm. And then in class, it's in the beginning, we're going to do a workout like Fran, and then at the end, we're going to do it again because we're going to work on a different energy system during your Metcon. Okay? If that's the case, and you have an athlete who's only coming in 2 days a week, and let's say they're always coming Tuesday and they're always coming Thursday, and Tuesday and Thursday are always your squat day and your press day. It behooves the coach to understand that, A, that person always comes on Tuesdays and Thursdays. They have to know that, right? So if they're not coming to the same class every day, it's tracking patterns in your software, Does this person, when does these people coming in? How often is someone coming in? We can do a monthly roundup and say, this person came in 8 times. That's not a lot. What days did they come in? Oh, they were all Tuesday, Thursday. Let's have a coach talk to them. And then you can modify volume, you can modify intensity, and you can modify movement. And you can be like, listen, yesterday we did this. I know you've squatted the last 4 weeks in a row. I'd like to see you deadlift a little bit. That's one way to do it. That's a hard way. I think good rounded programming, those days change every week. So Monday's not always a squat day. Tuesday's not always a press day. So that the people who have a schedule end up seeing a little bit of everything over time.
Yeah, so almost make like an 8-day cycle rather than a 6-day or a 7-day cycle.
Sure.
Something like that.
And then another really good way I've seen it, and something that I've toyed with the idea of going back in time and trying to start, is something like what Warm Up and Workout does. WarmUpandWorkout.com. That's Pat Barber. Basically, what he's doing is he has a nonlinear program that he does. That basically you start off with anything. There's no testing that's specific, and then it's not percentage work that builds up. I have someone at the door. Can I go grab the door real quick?
Yeah. Go ahead.
I know it's a pain in the ass. I'm sorry. Sorry, man. I'm doing a podcast. Yes. I'm doing a podcast.
No respect anymore these days.
I know it came here.
Okay, that's not good. Okay, no problem. You don't have anything. Thank you. This is not yours. Okay, no problem. Thank you.
Sorry about that, man.
Yeah, just like an unruly client. Just do whatever you want to do.
It's pouring outside. It's the mailman. He's standing at the door. I'm like, put it in the mailbox. And he's like, no, you have something you got to sign. And it wasn't even for me.
I got you.
So I felt bad standing there.
Publisher's clearinghouse didn't come.
Yeah, right. You won a box of 24 condoms. Great. No, but so warmupandworkout.com, Pat Barber, right? They write nonlinear programming, meaning that it doesn't matter what day you come. You're not on a squat cycle. You're not on a deadlift cycle. You're just coming into the gym to get fit. They write full lesson plans, so the coaches are doing, everything is planned. What's the warm up? What's the purpose of the warm up? What's the workout? What's the purpose of the workout? One workout a day, one warm up a day. There isn't a strength and then a workout. There isn't a start at 82%, work up to 98%, and then test, deload and then test. It's nonlinear and it's awesome. Mm-hmm. And every month they send it to me and I audit it to make sure that their joint actions make sense, that they're looking at movement instead of exercise selection. And they have over 100 gyms who are following it. And I think it's awesome. But it's a paradigm shift that's hard for some people.
Yeah. I often thought about almost combining as many of those attributes as you can rather than having a deadlift and a squat and a this and a that and the other thing, but almost for, general, programming, general preparation is to try to make an element of that, like from each section of your body. So if you had a hip hinging strength workout that day, then you would have a pressing portion in your Metcon or however you want to put those things together. But like the strength element wouldn't be the Metcon element, the Metcon or the conditioning element or anything else like that, and just make it more full body encompassing every day. So yes, you probably wouldn't gain 40 pounds in your squat by doing it this particular way, but for the general public that's coming in just to look better naked and have sex when they're 80, it might be the best way for them.
Well, I think you're right, and I think CrossFit gyms nationwide look at each other and say, hey, my biggest competition is that gym down the road, CrossFit, whatever. And it's not. Their biggest competition is them another CrossFit gym. There's only so many people who want to do CrossFit in a 5-town radius. Their biggest competition is the Orange Theory that's coming to town. Yeah. It's the Soul Cycle that's coming to town. And the reason for that is because people who no longer resonate with their joints hurting because you're burying them are going to go look for a different way to breathe hard because that's what they view as fitness.
Yeah. Yeah. People definitely resonate sweat and breathing hard with fitness, not necessarily strength or anything else like that.
You need both. But I think that people would do well to start considering that they don't necessarily need to be so acutely scientific with their program.
Absolutely. I mean, look at like people also want it to be a little bit easier and feel a little bit better afterwards, to where they're not sore, to where they're not hurt. I mean, look at they just you went to what's that the pool spin classes now? What is it called? Aqua spin. Come on, you had to. They're in the city now. Aqua spin. They take spin classes in the pool.
In a pool.
Yeah, I mean I haven't done it yet. I definitely have to do it. I can't say it's good or bad. But the whole idea is to again make that resistance more difficult, but very easy, very light on the body. Because as long as people feel they're breathing hard, as long as they feel like they're being taxed, right? So like physical exertion and mental or perception isn't always, they're not together. They're not linear, as you say. So if people can have that perception that they're working very hard, that they're breathing very hard, that they're taxed greatly, then that's good enough for a lot of people,
Yeah, and one of the best things I've heard about the CrossFit business in general is from Ben Bergeron, and he was like, "Listen, you all think you're in the fitness business, and that's the problem. You're not in the fitness business. You're in the relationship business, and that's the truth, right?
Yes.
You walk in, you want to go to the fitness business, it becomes hey, we're going to take much less people, and we're going to do what we know you need to do, and that's that.
Yeah, like an athletic development center.
Yes.
Like a performance development center. Yeah.
Yes, we're running 60s on repeat on the stopwatch, right? Metronome, go. Not, hey, here's the workout. Let's have fun. Let's bring it in.
Yeah.
We're in a relationship business, and that resonated a lot with me. I think that gym owners would do well to focus on that first, their programming second, and to make the programming fun. That's where I go with it.
Right.
Then you don't have to worry about all that other stuff.
Which makes a big difference between if you want to make a performance center, then that's a totally different thing. That's almost not. It's almost not CrossFit oriented anymore. That's almost.
I mean, look, we had a really competitive gym, right?
Yeah.
I wasn't on it, but we had a team that went to the games 2 years in a row. I bought a ticket, flew out, watched them. But we've shifted from that to being less of a competitive gym. Our coaches now take group class. They don't follow a program that's not our gym program. They're not working out at a separate time. It's great. Everybody loves it.
I love the idea that your coaches aren't huge, let's say, what's the word I'm looking for? Aren't hugely competitive, different programming like junkies, so to speak.
They have been, but
they
they're
have
not
been.
anymore.
Well, that's fine. But I think that you're right. You get this better community building aspect of it, because you're the first gym that I've heard that's done that. I can't tell you any other gym that does that. Their coaches do open gym, or not open gym, that do the gym's programming on a daily basis with clientele.
I think it's important. And if they want to do other stuff, they're welcome to do other stuff during open gym time.
Right.
But when class is going on, you're either in it or you're coaching it.
Right. Cool. So, words of knowledge to close up. What would you, if you had to leave people with a final thought, what would you like to leave them with?
You already know enough to be safe. Stick with what you know and go learn what you don't. It's you don't need to be fancy. You don't need to be doing anything that's creative. You don't look for the secret. The secret is fundamentals.
Yeah.
And doing them well. That's the secret.
Reinvent the wheel, huh?
No. So if you can just master those fundamentals, you're light years ahead of people who are getting better at things that they don't own. Right.
Awesome.
And that I think that's the biggest thing. And surround yourself with great people.
Surround yourself with great people.
Yep.
Don't try to reinvent the wheel. How'd you say that again one more time? I got to put that down.
What did I say? We should rewind.
I will. I'll rewind it.
Basically, what I said was,
you know enough.
You know enough to be safe and to be effective. You don't need to go out and start learning tricks and fancy stuff. Master the fundamentals, and you'll be great. You'll be light years ahead of everybody else who's trying to find that magic cue to get somebody over the rings. No, what gets them over the rings is they're strong enough to pull. They can support themselves at the bottom of a dip. They can press out of a dip. They can control their swing, and they know where they are in space.
Yeah.
Right? So build that, and then people will end up over the rings.
Mm-hmm.
Right? As opposed to like, ooh, go now. I'm going to push on the butt. God, you get that feeling? Now try to do that on your own. No, they don't have the skills. It's not about getting a muscle up. It's about having muscle ups.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Dr. Sean, I can't thank you enough as a friend and a colleague. It was great to have you on, and I'm sure we'll do it again in the future. Good luck to you, and I know that you have a baby and all that stuff. Good luck, happy, healthy with all that type of stuff, and I'm sure I'll see you again. Are you going to be down in Wadapalooza?
No, sir.
Oh, always business, always business.
You know, I'll leave that one on the table.
All right.
But you should come out here sometime.
I'll be down soon enough.
Okay. Yeah, well, when Luis gets out here, you'll come out.
Yeah, well, I don't want to come see you.
Exactly. I understand. Hey, listen, I'd rather watch a guy who moves like that than me also.
Unbelievable. All right, well, thank you so much again, and I'll be sure to get this up real soon. So, and I'll have all your information on it and stuff like that, so people get in touch with you if they need to or if they want to. Maybe they think you're full of shit. They don't want to talk to you anything anymore.
I am just as excited. I'm just excited when people say I'm full of shit. I like I like the argument just as much as I like the praise. It's great.
Love it. All right. Well, thanks again. I will talk to you soon. Later, buddy.
Thanks, Tim. See ya.